But anyway, we'll move on. Our next little game is something called the Fantasy Shootout. Now, what this is Zach and I are going to build a miniature team for week 16 of the NFL, the fantasy championship. It's going to consist of one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, and one tight end. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick our players here and compare them next week. So this is a straight up full point PPR standard format. Okay, so 1 point per reception, 4 point passing touchdown, 6 point receiving touchdown, and rushing touchdown. You understand, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, like I said, I'll write down our guesses here, or our picks, and then we'll compare them next week. So I'll go first. My quarterback for this week, none other than my boy, Lamar Jackson, against those New York Giants. This is a must-win game for the Ravens. Lamar has been on fire with his legs recently, just like he does, like he should have been doing all year. It's what won him the MVP last year. It's what made him, a top 3 fantasy pick, in or top 3 round fantasy pick in standard leagues, a top 2 pick in 2 quarterback leagues. This is what he does. And he's starting to finally get back to it. It's a must-win game for the Ravens, just like every game from here on out. Give me Lamar Jackson as my quarterback in our fantasy shootout. Who are you going with in your quarterback spot?
Well, you took the greatest running quarterback that I've ever seen. I'll take the greatest throwing quarterback that I've ever seen, and that's Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
A very soft matchup against Atlanta, who you saw Tom Brady throw some bombs on. Welcome back, Antonio Brown, by the way. I think it should actually be a good game, Chiefs versus Falcons, because the Falcons, they seem to have a way. Of course, they historically lose late every game pretty much.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be closer than people think, and I think it'll be pretty high scoring. So I got Patty.
Great pick, especially because if that is a close game, like you bring up, the Falcons are able to bring a lead into the second half or even the fourth quarter, and they're able to be competitive throughout the whole game. So if Patrick Mahomes is constantly having to produce on offense, we know he will. That's a great pick. So I got Lamar. You got Patrick Mahomes. My running back number 1, I got to go with Nick Chubb against the New York Jets. I mean, I know that the Jets are easier to throw against than run against, but this is Nick Chubb, dude. All he does is produce and score touchdowns and get carries. And I think that the Browns, who are also in must-win mode, are going to go out and dominate this game on the ground with time of possession. I think it's going to be all Nick Chubb because the Jets are probably trying to lose now like they should have been doing. Obviously Adam Gase doesn't know what the hell he's doing, but Nick Chubb didn't even have a great performance last week against the Giants. He just had 15 for 50 yards, but he did have a touchdown. I'm thinking he gets over 100 yards and at least one score here. Give me Nick Chubb as my RB1. Who you got?
I'm going with Aaron Jones, running back for the Green Bay Packers, going up against Tennessee Titans on Sunday Night Football. Now, if you've been paying attention to Aaron Jones, you've probably heard about the Aaron Jones-Jamal Williams time split that Aaron Jones fantasy manager has been complaining about all year. Over the past 2 weeks, really haven't seen that. Aaron Jones is topping 18 carries or 18 touches in the past 2 weeks, 22 plus fantasy points in half-point PPR over the past 2 weeks. They're really starting to feed him as we get closer to the playoffs. I don't know if they're ramping him up for the workload he might be taking on in these playoff matchups. Whatever it is, I love it, and 33 has been producing. Him and Devontae Adams are 2 of the best offensive players in the NFL, in my opinion, and I like them this week going up against Tennessee.
Completely agree that those 2 are incredible weapons for Aaron Rodgers. I hate the argument that people say Aaron Rodgers doesn't have any help. Patrick Mahomes has all this help. It's like, what are you talking about? Devontae Adams is the number 1 pass catcher, and Aaron Jones is a top 5, if not top 3 running back. Maybe behind Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook right now for all the healthy backs out there. Maybe you put Nick Chubb up there at number 3. So Aaron Jones is right there in the conversation. So I hate that argument that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have any help. That makes absolutely no sense. So love those 2. And, like you said, Matt LaFleur and the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers, they're starting to get the ball to Aaron Jones like they should have been doing all year. You get the ball in the hands of your playmaker. He's excellent out of the backfield, catching the ball as well. So another great pick. That's going to be interesting matchup, Chubb versus Aaron Jones. Okay, my running back number 2. This is a guy that I've never really had that much confidence in, but I can't deny it anymore. It's David Montgomery. And he gets a soft matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who cannot stop anyone on the ground. David Montgomery had 32 carries last week for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, why go away from those kind of workhorse numbers? I don't think that they will. I think they feed David Montgomery again in what should be a blowout win for the Chicago Bears in Jacksonville. Give me David Montgomery. Who's your running back number 2?
Before I get to my RB2, the resurgence of David Montgomery's kind of come back with Mitch Trubisky starting, which I didn't really predict. Maybe they have a good chemistry there, but surprising Mitch Trubisky doing better than Foles did. For my RB2, I'm going to go with the other cowbell in the Sunday night game, and that's Derrick Henry.
Of course.
You really can't say much about it except they're going to give this guy the ball and watch out defense. Because, even if you stop him to 2 yards a carry for the first 15 carries, he's going to get 15 more, and it's going to be hard to stop him. And just one of these times, when he breaks through that first level, the safeties and cornerbacks, man, their eyes light up, and we've seen it all year. Highlight runs from Derrick Henry. Another one last week, absolutely threw a grown man to the ground. What else can you say? He's a monster.
That's what he does. Throws grown men on the ground because he is a man amongst boys out there, and it's absolutely insane. He has over 25 touches in 5 of the last 6 weeks. When you give a guy like that much volume, it's nearly impossible to stop. And the Packers have been, pretty generous toward opposing backfields. So that's a tough pick. I mean, we are allowed to take just about whoever we want in this game. So good pick for you. So I'm going to take as my wide receiver 1, a chalky pick. Like I said, this is the best pass catcher in the league. Another person in that Sunday night game, it's Davante Adams, okay, against the Tennessee Titans. We just talked about Aaron Jones. We even talked about Davante Adams, how all that the Packers need to do is get those to the ball, and the offense will take care of itself. So give me Davante Adams as the number 1 scoring wide receiver this week against the Titans on Sunday night. Who you got?
I got DeAndre Hopkins against San Francisco. Now, they are in another primetime matchup. That's the 4:30 game on Saturday. And DeAndre Hopkins shows up in primetime. He shows up all the time, but specifically in primetime, something about the big lights makes him show up. And San Francisco defense is still depleted by injury. Their offense has sort of become the better part of this team, which, last year in the Super Bowl run, they were very defense heavy. This year, they're relying a little bit more on Nate Mullins, who's been pretty serviceable. So I think this could be a more high-scoring game than we expected from San Francisco at the beginning of the season, and I expect D-Hop to keep going on.
Yep, that's back-to-back games with 9 catches and 11 targets for Hopkins. He's coming off of his season high in yards at 169. It's just the highest that he's had since week 1, where he had 151. There's not much else you can say. He's DeAndre Hopkins. Get him the ball. Like Kyler Murray said, I know Hop's down there somewhere. Throws it up to him. That's all he's really got to do. Nick Mullins, by the way, he has been impressive. He's just kind of surprising. Now, is it just me? Or does Nick Mullins look like he got stung by a bee everywhere on his face? Is that doesn't he?
Fatty cheeks. I don't know. I don't
know what it is. It's just, but yeah. Anyway, no offense, Nick Mullins. I'm sorry. So I'll move on to my wide receiver number 2. Now, this guy has the best matchup in the league. He was someone who I talked about last week for DraftKings, and he did come through. It's Robert Woods of the Los Angeles Rams, facing the worst passing defense, historically bad Seattle Seahawks. I love Robert Woods. The guy just out targets everyone else on his team. Although I do love Cooper Kupp, but really, if I'm going to nail down an absolute 15 plus guy who's almost guaranteed to score a touchdown, I got to go with Robert Woods as my pick for my wide receiver number 2. Who you going with?
I have the same guy, Bobby Trees. And one reason I really like him specifically against Seattle is a big problem for Seattle this year has been communication on defense.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of broken coverages. And Robert Woods is top 5 in the league in crosser routes, where he is going to come sit in between the linebackers and the safeties and make them choose. And Jared Goff coming off of maybe his worst performance of his career against the Jets.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be looking to bounce back. I do think they might be looking to pound the rock a little bit, kind of get back into a dominant type of modal offense, but still with enough volume for Robert Woods to have a really good game against Seattle.
All right, so we're on the same page there. We both have Robert Woods, so that'll kind of cancel it out. If you want to pivot to Cooper Kupp, I'll let you do that right now.
He's a safety valve. Robert Woods is the main guy.
All right, I'll stick with Robert Woods too, so we'll cancel out on that one. All right, so our final pick here is our tight end. No surprise here. I'm going chalk. I'm going the best tight end of all time. Yeah, I'm bringing out that hyperbole because it's just true. You know who it is. It's Travis Kelce. Who you going with?
Oh, that's it. It's just Kelce, and that's all you need to say, which is true. I mean, he's that good.
You want me to go in? I mean, I can go into why, but do I need to?
I know the touchdowns. I know the targets. I know the yards. Just
Exactly. He's got, well, here's just an interesting stat. He has 8 catches, exactly 8, in the last 5 games. Okay. So, like I said, I mean, there's nothing else to say. He's got double-digit targets in 6 out of the last 7. Like I said, 8 catches in the last 5 games, over 100 yards in 3 of them, and he scored in 4 out of 5. So I think the Kelce train just keeps on rolling. There's not a more lock of a tight end pick than Travis Kelce, unless we go with someone who I imagine you're about to go with. Hit me.
My guy, I've been talking about him for the past 2 years, Darren Waller.
Okay.
And I was surprised, when Derek Carr went down, of course, brutally cost me the fantasy semifinals. Really hurts. Should have went with Stafford. That one will hold me for a while. But Marcus Mariota came in and found Darren Waller all night. And Waller still made the same plays we would expect him to make with Derek Carr in the game. I think he's kind of proving that it doesn't matter who's back there. If you can get the ball to 83, he can make stuff happen because you just don't really see that speed and size combination at the tight end position. I like Darren Waller, basically just hoping he keeps pace with Kelce. That's all you can hope.
That's a great pick, and that's really the only other guy that you can do to sort of counteract someone who's playing Travis Kelce, because Kelce is a solid 20 to 25 points per contest. But then you got Darren Waller, who in 2 of the last 3 weeks, he had 30 fantasy points last week and 45 week 13 against the Jets. So Waller is certainly more of a boom option. And, it's totally possible that he does outproduce Kelce because he is their entire offense. As much as I want it to be Josh Jacobs, it's just not. Like, it's Darren Waller. They live and breathe through Darren Waller. Why go away from him? Especially if you're Marcus Mariota, you need that kind of safety valve. Why throw it to anyone else? All right, fair enough. Those are our teams. I'll go through them again. It's Lamar Jackson, Nick Chubb, David Montgomery, Devontae Adams, Robert Woods, Travis Kelce. For me, Zach, run through yours one more time for us.
We've got Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, Robert Woods, and Darren Waller.
That is our fantasy shootout. Join us next week and we'll recap, see how we do. Good luck with that.